guys, Emily here, and I'm home for Christmas! Today, I'm going to share with you my 5 favorite Christmas movies, which are probably universally favorites for lots of people, and then a runner-up. So I'll go in descending order. And the runner-up I am going to say is All I Want for Christmas. It's that flick from the early 90s with Thora Birch when she was like maybe even 8 years old. She was quite young. And Ethan Embry before he changed his name. Okay, that's just such a sweet movie. Snowball! And I think I watched it a lot when I was a kid. And it's just so sweet, you know? They try to get their parents back together. And it's a good cast, too. I would say that's the runner-up to the 5 that I will say now. In the 5th spot, we've got A Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out, you'll shoot your eye out. It's probably the most famous line. There's some other good ones too. Fudge. Ooh, fragile, must be Italian. That movie is a cult classic. There are so many lines that people say from that movie. It's hilarious, and it's probably a movie that our parents all let us watch. And because the dad was cussing a lot, and you could tell he was kind of like a dirty old man, and our parents still let us watch that movie, even though it had violence and cussing and little punks in it. So that's just like a cult classic that everybody has to see at least once every Christmas season, or once every couple of years. That's a good one. And so funny when he's sliding down the slide. I think when I was a kid, I laughed so hard at that scene after he's visiting Santa finally and tells him, and he says, "You'll shoot your eye out," and ho, 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 and he kicks him down this slide. And that scene just cracks me up ever since I was a kid. Coming in number 4 is A Muppet Christmas Carol. Oh, I love that movie, and I could probably sing all the songs from that movie for you. It is so fun, and it's so, you know, it's for the whole family to enjoy. When it was released on DVD, they cut out that really, like, sad scene when he's crying, when Michael Caine is crying about his long-lost love. Anyway, so they've actually cut that out in the DVD. But that movie is so sweet, and I mean, some people are not into the Muppet movies, but that's probably, not only is that one of my favorite Christmas movies, that's probably my favorite Muppet movie. And I'm going to move on before I start singing. Coming to number 3 is also a classic, It's a Wonderful Life. Merry Christmas, y'all, Billy and Lone. I saw that when I was 12, I think, for the first time. It could probably have taken place any other time. The language in it, like, I just thought it was really witty and quick, and there's some, like, innuendo, and they're, like, talking a little bit about, you know, he's talking about kissing her. I thought that was from the 30s, It's a Wonderful Life, but it turns out it's from 1947, and there's a train going by. It's the Polar Express. Coming in number 2, if you can guess that movie, Macaulay Culkin going, "Ah!" as Kevin McAllister in Home Alone. Not Home Alone 2, not Home Alone 3, Home Alone, the first one. That movie is so good. I don't know if you have to be my generation to like that movie, because I was a kid when that came out in the early 90s, but that movie is so good. Like, I watched it the other day with my fiance, and he'd seen it a couple times ever. He's not American. So, and he was cracking up at all the slapstick, you know, when they finally come back to the house and he's got all the traps set up. Oh my gosh. So that movie was so sweet to watch the other day, and I have to say that is one of my favorite Christmas movies, so that's why I'm putting it as number 2. It's just such a sweet movie. I mean, it starts off kind of rough around the edges, you know, because it's this big family, and he's feeling, you know, a little bit like an outcast, and then he thinks they've left him, which he wants, but then you see how much the mother really loves him, because that, like, you can't even imagine how somebody would feel when they realize that they've left someone, their youngest kid, at the house, and they're in Europe, you know, and it's not like, I mean, that's probably a movie they couldn't remake, because at that time, we didn't have smartphones or Skype or these, you know, the advanced technology that we have now to have better solved that problem of leaving a son home at a house when you're in Europe. And then to add to all that, of course, the burglars are coming around, and I mean, luckily he's a smart kid and he, knows how to defend himself. But just throughout that movie, there are so many like sweet scenes, like when he steals the toothbrush from the store because he's scared when he sees the old man and he runs off, and they make kind of a big deal out of it. They're like, shoplifter, and he's running from the police officer. I mean, that scene is so funny because after the chase, when he's just walking down the street, it's like his head is hung low and he says, "I'm a criminal." And that's such a small part of the movie, but it just makes you smile. It's so sweet, his innocence, all throughout that movie. And it's just the right amount of slapstick. I'm not a big fan of like Adam Sandler movies or movies where there's a lot of slapstick comedy, but that is so fun. She and Daniel Stern are just so funny. I think they handle the slapstick so well. Like, some actors would not, like, you would have just rolled your eyes, but it is so genuine, this movie, and going through the house and their reactions to all the traps that this little boy has set up for them. It's just so, so funny. And it's just the right amount, too, because by the time they go on the zip line out, it's like that stuff is finished, cops are on their way, the movie starts to wrap up. And I actually just checked, and that movie came out in 1990. I thought it was a little bit later than that, but it was 1990. And it was nominated for 2 Oscars and a Golden Globe. And the Oscars were for the music, and the Golden Globe was for Best Comedy. And it didn't get it, but, I mean, it's worthy of a Golden Globe. Like, it was nominated for sure. And it's just such a sweet family movie. You can watch it with your family. I mean, I think there might be a few cuss words in it, but I've loved it since I was a kid, and I'm 26, and I saw it last week, and I still love it. It is amazing. Number 1 favorite Christmas movie is actually a movie that aired on television, so some people would even consider it a TV show, a TV special, let's say, a TV special, but it's my favorite Christmas movie, A Charlie Brown Christmas. That movie is so sweet. I think all the movies I've mentioned have a recurring theme, is that I've loved them since I was a kid, and I'm an adult now, and that I still love all these movies. But that movie is just so heartwarming, and it makes you smile the whole way through. And I mean, I can't really explain why else it's my favorite, just because it's so sweet. I know it's animated, and it's very old. It came out in 1965. Like, it's quite old, and the animation is a little bit scratchy, but it's so brilliantly sweet. And just the flow of it, I mean, I don't think anyone's ever going to forget the dancing scene when Schroeder's playing the Christmas da-da-da-da-da, and then all the different types of dancing. Like, I want to put the clip of everyone dancing to, like, modern music. I think that would be so fun. And they've got all the different characters dancing, and it's so funny. I think my favorite is the girl going like this. But they're so sweet, all of the characters in that movie. And I love Charlie Brown, like, bless his heart, and he always tries his best, and it's so sad, actually, in all the Charlie Brown movies, like, he has such a hard time. But Linus, I think, is my favorite, and of course, if you have seen the movie, you'll know why. He's there for moral support. If this was a movie that won an award, he'd win Best Supporting Actor, and his monologue, when he recites the Christmas story, and he recites it, when Charlie Brown gets so frustrated after he's brought the really tiny tree, which has become another symbol. I digress, but the Charlie Brown Christmas tree has become a symbol. People call trees a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. That's a thing. When Charlie Brown says, can anybody tell me what Christmas is all about? And Linus stands up and he says, sure, I can tell you what Christmas is all about. And he, lights please, and the lights shine on him, and he recites the Christmas story, the birth of Jesus, and like the real Christmas story. And when he's finished, he looks at Charlie and he says, that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. It's so sweet. Like, that's my favorite line in the movie. And then he goes and what does he say? This tree just needs a little love. The ornament pulls the tree down, and he says, I killed it. Oh, why does everything I touch get ruined? It's so sad. I actually need to watch it. I haven't watched it this season. I always wait and watch it, like, Christmas Eve. So some of the lines, I'm forgetting, like, exact lines. But Linus comes over, and he wraps his beloved blanket around and says, this tree just needs a little love. Oh, and then they sing. And then they smile and say, Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. Like, oh my gosh. And I kind of just told you like almost the whole movie because it's so short. It's like 20 minutes. That is my favorite. If you see me smiling at Christmas time, it's because I love Christmas. But if you see me smiling or dabbing my eyes like this, it's because I have just seen Charlie Brown Christmas. So, if you have not seen that movie, I would recommend that you watch it ASAP or on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I used to watch that movie when I was decorating the tree, and then because that's kind of like multitasking, so it was never enough. I would watch it while I decorated, and then after I decorated, I'd sit down and watch it again. Because you can just do that. It's 20 minutes. It's so short. But that is my favorite Christmas movie. I love all of the movies I've mentioned. 5 favorite Christmas movies. They're all a little bit older, so of course I'm leaving out great Christmas movies from recent years like Elf or even Love Actually, some of those movies. Almost every Christmas movie is a good movie because they're so heartwarming, and most of them are family suitable. And I like to look for that kind of a movie just because I'm usually home for the holidays. So it's nice when you can watch a wholesome movie with your whole family. And anyway, I love all the movies I mentioned. I want to go now after recording this and just watch them all, have a movie marathon. I would recommend you do that too if you haven't seen any of those movies, or if there are a couple you haven't seen. I hope that you enjoy them. I hope they touch your heart. I hope you enjoy them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'd love to hear what your favorite Christmas movie is. So go ahead and write those too. And thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays.